Hi, my name is Rich Shinnick, and this series of videos, I'm calling it The Dumbest Things in Youth Sports Photography. And the flip side to that is during this series of videos, I will also talk about some things that I think work well and are smart, but that people have forgotten or have allowed some of the dumb things to push to the side, okay? And my background is been in this business, actually born into it. So if you can imagine as a 10-year-old, 12-year-old going to his dad's work back in the 70s, my dad's company was probably the largest youth sports photography focused company. It was one of the first and probably the largest that ever existed or ever will exist. So there were weekends where his company handled over 70 shoots, more than half the leagues in California. And in fact, he virtually invented the business in the early 60s in terms of a company that focuses on doing youth sports and little leagues. And many of the companies and the bigger operators that exist now are actually former employees of his, or nowadays, employees of employees that worked for him, et cetera, generations later, and it all kind of traces back to him. So I grew up going to work with my dad, and there would literally be 100 photographers in the parking lot of his shop, and he would be handing out map pages and film, and people would jump on the freeway and get lost and all kinds of stuff. So we had a rule: don't answer the phone on Saturdays because you can't do anything about it. Back in those days, there were no cell phones. You couldn't locate the photographers if they were lost. There was no GPS. So, that's kind of where I come from. And the interesting thing is that from my perspective, and I'm in the business in Southern California, from my perspective, not much has changed. But you will hear a lot of photographers talking about, oh, everything's changed. Not really. Okay, and that's kind of the my background on this, and I've been, I think, very successful at this business for since I've been in business, which is over 25 years, and a lot of it I learned from working for my dad, and have taught that to a lot of photographers around the country who also have good businesses who are our distributors. So in addition to talking about youth sports photography in general, of course, I want to promote my own business. We do have a lab program. It's called our distributor program. We sell products to people that don't use our lab, plaques and frames and those kinds of things, which are all still great products and good money makers. And I'll talk about that as we go through the dumbest things in youth sports photography.